Are you worried about inbreeding in your quail, how you keep them all separate and keep that from happening? That's what we're going to discuss in today's video. Hey guys, welcome back to another Slightly Rednecked video. Again, my name is Chris. If you're not familiar with this channel, I help you to produce your own meat, eggs, and vegetables from your backyard, your balcony, your deck, your garage, or heck, even a spare room in your house if that's the way you want to do it. And today we're going to discuss a topic that I've been getting a lot of questions about lately, and that's how do you keep your quail from inbreeding? Well, the shorter answer is you don't. I mean, there's a couple of things you could do, but I don't worry about it too much. It's not a major concern. I'll kind of explain what I do. The only way you could really keep that from happening is if you were to really keep a strict eye on separating out your breeders. So you put, some breeders in one cage, some breeders in another cage, and you only take eggs from one hutch, incubate them, hatch them out, and then you make those breeders in your next hutch and mix those in, like mix the hens in with the existing roosters or the roosters in with the existing hens, and keep the other, whatever gender you didn't mix in, keep it separate. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. That's the only way you would ever really be able to do that. But when it comes down to it, it's not a major concern. Your quail, as far as inbreeding goes, line breeding actually strengthens your genetics a little bit. So breeding like your fathers to your daughters, your sons to your mothers, actually kind of strengthens your genetics a little bit. So what I typically do is I just kind of mix in my newly hatched chicks whenever they get up to about breeding age, when it comes time to replace some of my breeders, mix them in and let them go ahead and just start breeding in there. Now, sure, some of those are probably brother and sister. There's no way for me to know, no way for me to keep them apart, but a little bit of that's not going to really hurt the gene pool that much. It's going to be just fine. Over time, if you continued to breed brother to sister and you bred those brothers to those sisters and those brothers to those sisters, on down the line, then yeah, it can introduce some negative effects over the long term, but that's really quite a while. So, really what I do is I try to about every couple of years, about every 2 years, I will go ahead and bring in a couple of new roosters if I can, or just order all new eggs and start over with some new, genetics all over again, and mix those in a little bit with my existing genetics, and just bring in some new blood. The ideal way to do it is if I find somebody locally that raises jumbo quail like I've got, and they've almost always got a couple extra roosters they'll sell. So I'll buy a couple extra roosters, call out my existing roosters, move the new roosters in with the existing hens, and I've got new blood and start all over again. But you only need to do that, like I said, once every couple of years, about every 2 years, something like that. As far as the existing quail go, I don't really replace my breeders, but usually about once a year anyway. That's about as often as you need to do it. So at the end of the season, I might take my last hatch, and those will become my new breeders. And then after about 2 years of doing that at the end of the season, then I try to bring in some new blood just to kind of mix it up a little bit. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. As far as inbreeding goes, though, it's not a huge concern. You don't really see any kind of adverse effects from that. And you really get good results when you're breeding, again, the mothers to the daughters, the mothers to the sons, the fathers to the daughters. I know that sounds kind of weird and it sounds kind of gross in human terms, but in the animal world, it actually strengthens your genetics a little bit. It passes on the good traits. And as long as you're refreshing that every couple of years, you're going to be just fine. It's not a major concern. It's nothing to worry about. So just a quick short video to address that topic that's been been brought up pretty frequently lately. Hopefully that puts your mind at ease. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, God bless.